agora para a nossa segunda palestra
Now our second
dessa tarde,
talk
tá?
for this afternoon
Essa palestra,
This talk
ela foi um vídeo gravado,
is
então,
a recorded
infelizmente, esses
video.
momentos de perguntas não será possível.
Unfortunately, we won't be able to
Nosso
have
tema
questions,
agora
but
é
the topic is
evolução do hidrogênio verde nos
evolution of green
Estados
hydrogen in
Unidos.
the US.
Nossa palestrante,
Our speaker
conheçam agora, por favor.
is here.
Nossa palestrante se chama, é a doutora Sanita Setpal. Ela é diretora de escritório de tecnologias de hidrogênio e células a combustível do Departamento de Energia dos Estados Unidos. Então, vamos agora acompanhar o vídeo que ela deixou gravado para nós.
Video.
First of all, sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I'm pleased to be able to give an overview. Thank you for the invitation to provide an update from the U.S. Department of Energy, where I am the director for the Hydrogen and Fuel Cell Technologies Office, and also the coordinator for the U.S. Department of Energy hydrogen programs. So I'm really pleased to be able to give an update, and I have three main messages today. I've been here actually for over 18 years, and this is the most exciting time for hydrogen. And my three messages are starting first with urgency. Now more than ever, in terms of meeting our climate goals, in terms of energy resiliency and energy security. And if you look at the US landscape, you can see energy consumption for the first time in history, renewables surpassed coal, but you can see we still depend very heavily on fossil fuels. So our high priorities for the administration are net zero emissions by 2050 and a completely clean grid by 2035, and what we call environmental and energy justice. This is a very high priority, Justice 40, where 40% of specific federal benefits will impact disadvantaged communities, so those who've historically experienced energy injustice. So hydrogen is one part of a very comprehensive portfolio to decarbonize the economy. It includes research all the way up to deployment, multiple offices, the entire value chain from production, with all of the resources. This image depicts our H2 at scale vision, which takes the Swiss Army knife approach of hydrogen, the versatility that you're looking at renewables, nuclear, fossil with CCS. It provides flexibility and optionality. Once we produce hydrogen, we can use it for multiple end uses as the fuel, as the feedstock, as energy storage. So again, it really provides that dispatchable and optionality. And we have a DOE-wide program plan. We have hundreds of projects, all that available online. But if you look at where are we today in the US, we have 10 million metric tons of hydrogen produced every year. About 10% of the global demand, over 1,600 miles of dedicated pipeline, 3 geological caverns, including the world's largest. And most of that hydrogen is for refining, ammonia production. But most of the regions within the US have hydrogen capacity, mostly from natural gas. And you can see examples of the deployments. We have thousands of fuel cells now. Forklifts, for instance, a niche application. Major companies like Amazon and others. In fact, every few seconds, some customers refueling with hydrogen. We have buses, over 13,000 vehicles, about 50 stations. And when it comes to electrolysis, we have started to see ramp up. So for the first time, we are publishing where the PEM electrolysis units are, mostly operational, some under construction. And this is a threefold increase just since 1 year. So about 620 megawatts. See, some of the largest are these 120 megawatts that have come in online or are coming online just within the last year. So now what I'd like to do is talk about cost. And this is the second main message for today. And if you look at the cost within the US, cost of hydrogen from natural gas is about $1.50, low-cost natural gas. And so we're looking at various market segments and what's needed to be competitive. So on the y-axis, this is the cost that's necessary to be competitive, again, for the US market. So at about $5, we start to see early adopters for heavy and medium duty trucks. And these are scenarios showing that if we had 10% of all the trucks to be hydrogen fuel cells, we would use about 5 million metric tons of hydrogen. And then we walk down this curve. So biofuels and power to liquid fuels can be competitive at a lower cost. Steel, if we had 10% of all the steel or all of the domestic ammonia, energy storage, methanol, and heat. And the dark colors represent the conservative options. The lighter colors represent the more optimistic options. Again, these are scenarios of what's needed to be competitive in the US. And so the key takeaway is that if we can get down to about $1, this is delivered in defense, but if we can get down in cost, that will unlock market potential. So about a year ago, President Biden asked our Secretary of Energy, what can we do to accelerate the deployment and address our climate crisis? And this was the beginning of the Energy Earthshot initiative, so similar to the moonshot from over half a century ago. So these are bold, ambitious targets. So hydrogen was the first. 111, easily articulated, $1 for 1 kilogram of clean hydrogen in 1 decade. And this will galvanize the community. And so we had a summit with thousands of participants, Secretary Granholm, Secretary John Kerry, Bill Gates, major companies. And we asked the question, what is the main barrier to hydrogen market adoption? And you can see overwhelmingly the respondents said cost. There are many other challenges, though, for hydrogen: sufficient infrastructure, public awareness, technology, safety. So there are a number of challenges. And what we're doing next with Hydrogen Shot is looking at 3 pathways. So electrolysis, what's needed to get the cost down. The green is cost of electricity, the blue is capital cost, operating cost in gray. $5 is our baseline at low volume in the US at $50 a megawatt hour. And we're looking at stepping stones of what's needed to get to $2 and then $1. Also looking at thermal pathways, so thermal conversion. This is just one example, and it's not just the cost, but also the carbon intensity. So again, looking at various options of what's needed. This is just one example of natural gas, also looking at pyrolysis as well as advanced pathways. So anything as long as we can get there within 1 decade. And so now the next step is that it's not just hydrogen production. So I do want to emphasize cost. And at DOE, we have a number of targets, so shown in green here, with industry input on what's needed to be competitive, really a sustainable market. And then every year we project the cost at low volume. So this is fuel cells for heavy duty trucks, need to be at $80. We're really at over $300. What the projection is in orange at higher volume. I talked about production cost, delivery and dispensing. This is for stations at 700 bar. Again, significant cost compared to our target. Onboard storage costs, this carbon fiber tanks, again, much higher cost than what's needed to be competitive for mass market penetration. So now, fortunately, we have had very exciting news. President Biden signed into law a bipartisan infrastructure bill, also known as the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. So this provides $9.5 billion for hydrogen, $1 billion for electrolysis, $500 million for clean hydrogen manufacturing and recycling, and then $8 billion for at least 4 regional clean hydrogen hubs around the country. And it has specific language in the statute, $2 per kilogram by 2026 from electrolysis. And it also requires us to develop a national hydrogen strategy and a roadmap. And so we're in the process of developing that map, and 3 main strategic initiatives. First is to target strategic high impact end uses. So focusing hydrogen on those hard to decarbonize sectors, industrial, heavy duty transport. Second, laser focus on reducing the cost of clean hydrogen. I already talked about the hydrogen energy earth shots. And third, our strategy is to focus on regional networks. Where can we co-locate production and demand, multiple off-takers, really scale infrastructure, drive down cost, multiple other enabling activities like workforce development, safety codes and standards, policies, stimulating the private sector. And our vision is really affordable, clean hydrogen for a net zero carbon future, sustainable, resilient, and equitable energy economy. And so what we are doing next is looking at, again, different scenarios and what's the potential demand opportunity for hydrogen. So the key takeaway here is there's quite a bit of uncertainty. The dark represents the core scenarios, so across sectors, transportation, mostly heavy duty, biofuels, synthetic fuels, industrial. So we see a lot of opportunity there, blending with natural gas, the grid in terms of energy storage. And then the light green represents, again, a broad range of opportunities depending on policies and incentives. We have a production tax credit, which has still not been passed by Congress. So the bottom line is we see potential, again, demand driven for 5 million metric tons by 2030, 20 by 2040, and 50 by 2050. So in order to get there, this brings me to my third and final message, which is the importance of collaboration, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I think there are many experts out there, and you all know that no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, no one person can whistle a symphony. It really takes the whole orchestra to play it. So now more than ever, we need the governments, the industry, investors, the disadvantaged communities, tribal communities, really the global community, all hands on deck if we are going to accelerate and achieve all of our goals for clean energy. So our program includes extensive collaborations across RD&D, and so we have a number of consortia, our national laboratories. We have 17 national laboratories, 50 Nobel Prize winners, major initiatives here. Also, first of a kind demonstrations, integrating technologies, de-risking, renewables. We have 5 nuclear to hydrogen projects, number of fuel cell truck projects, including in a disadvantaged area, super truck, a data center, megawatt scale, fueling for the first passenger ferry hydrogen in the Western Hemisphere, energy storage, 2 hydrogen for steel projects, and then deployment and financing. Here we'll see significant increase as we launch the hydrogen hubs. So this will be a network of clean hydrogen producers, end users, and the connective infrastructure. We have 2 new loan guarantee programs from our loan program office, 1.5 billion for pyrolysis and large-scale electrolysis, as well as energy storage and salt caverns. And then finally, enabling technology. So here, a lot of our analysis, safety codes and standards, manufacturing, workforce development, H2 matchmaker to help to match the production and the end use applications to get to scale. And one I do want to emphasize is safety. So safety is such a high priority for all of us that for those interested, I do have one request. Feel free, anyone can join this Center for Hydrogen Safety. So providing information, lessons learned, best practices, incidents, accreditation, courses, over 80 members now and growing. And this is an international initiative. We have many other international initiatives, and I'd like to have a shout out for many of them here. So IEA, Clean Energy Ministerial, Mission Innovation, and many others, bilaterals, and IPHE since 2003. We're looking at how do we facilitate international trade, the Common Analytical Framework for a Clean Hydrogen Standard, regulations, code standards, working groups. So feel free to look at iphe.net. And then most recently from COP26, the Glasgow Breakthrough Agenda, looking at mapping activities across these initiatives. How do we identify gaps, leverage, prioritize the activities? And finally, last but not least, if there are any early career graduates out there, any students, postdocs, feel free to join the IPHE Early Career Network, now with over 37 countries. So feel free, again, an opportunity to network with your peers, really help to develop the next generation of leaders in the hydrogen space. And finally, in summary, strategy and next steps, accelerate RD&D to reduce cost. Number 1, launch our demonstrations, our hydrogen hubs. How do we co-locate? These are some examples of feedback from industry across the US where we can co-locate production and end use. And third, most importantly, how do we enable benefits, concrete benefits, resilient, sustainable, equitable, clean energy economy? So there we have much information available on the website. So feel free to go to hydrogen.energy.gov, our H2IQ hour. Again, a lot of tools, a lot of resources. So with that, thank you once again for the opportunity to present. And I wish you an excellent conference. Thank you.